The Lakers have been a team that I have talked about a lot this season, and not just on this channel, but on my second channel as well, where I've probably covered their games second most of any team in the league, obviously behind the Chicago Bulls. And it's probably by a pretty large margin too. And no, that's not just because the Lakers are one of the most popular teams in basketball and thus it results in views. Sure, that's not a factor in it. But just really with Russell Westbrook on this team, this Lakers roster is just incredibly interesting. It's a fascinating and entertaining show every night. But with all that said, despite the fact that I've made multiple videos on both channels, I still have a ton of thoughts on this team. However, at the same time, I feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse with making this many videos. So in today's video, I hope to get all of my thoughts out there and then hopefully not cover this team again until something major happens. So let's talk about everything wrong with the Los Angeles Lakers and hopefully move on for a while. Before I continue on with this video, about half the people that watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you follow the 50%, then please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 200k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. I am uploading 6 days a week on this channel, including a deep dive every Friday in the attempt to reach that goal. So if you're new here, seriously, please subscribe, especially if you enjoy today's video. Also drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference in the YouTube algorithm. Since we're talking about everything that's wrong with the Lakers, first let's talk about how bad they've actually been. The Lakers are 12-12, which is good for the 8th seed in the Western Conference, mostly because the West sucks. Really, this team should be out of the playoff picture, but they have caught a break in that regard. They are the 16th best defense, down from first last year and 3rd the year they won the chip, and 23rd in offense, which was actually an improvement from last year's injury-riddled season, but it's down significantly from the 11th ranked offense that they had when they won the championship. They are fine percentage-wise from 3, but are bottom 10 in attempts. They are the 5th worst team when it comes to turnovers. They're 2nd in fouls per game, and as a result, they give up the 2nd most free throws per game, and they give up the 8th most three-point attempts per game. On the positive end, they average a lot of assists and rebounds, which somewhat amends the turnovers and poor defensive ranking, but it does not save it outright. They are 2nd in pace, as you'd expect from a team that just added Russell Westbrook. So where are the problems? Well, fucking where do I begin? First of all, and probably the most consequential, is LeBron's health. The guy is just not the Iron Man that we've known him to be throughout his career. He's probably arguably borderline injury prone, to be honest. He has played just half of the available games this season, and when he actually plays, the team is much better. Being a top 5 player in basketball will have that result. The team is 7-5 in the games that he plays and 5-7 in the games that he does not. They would be on pace to win 48 games with him and on pace to win 33 without him. So that is a rather large factor in this equation. Next is spacing in certain lineups, and I was very careful with my wording there, because the Lakers are capable of rolling lineups out there with their 3 best players on the floor that don't have bad spacing. Not flawless spacing, as they're still playing 2 non-shooters at the same time, but it does not have to be awful as some lineups have made it. A lineup with Malik Monk and Carmelo Anthony out there with their big 3 is respectable enough three-point shooting, and I'd say about average for the league. Even though you have 2 non-shooters out there, you have 2 very good ones, and LeBron, who I'd say is a pretty good shooter himself as well. Also, the lineups that they run with LeBron at the 5 while AD is off of the floor, those work extremely well. Now, running Talen Horton-Tucker, who is a career 28% three-point shooter, in the starting lineup, on the other hand, that's not good spacing. Fucking duh. Same goes for DeAndre Jordan, who Vogel appears to have finally realized is unplayable. Rajon Rondo also has no business in a rotation that already has Russell Westbrook and LeBron as playmakers. And speaking of him, another problem is just straight up Talen Horton-Tucker. He has not been good for the Lakers this year, and that's really to no fault of his own. Talen has a valuable skill set that a lot of teams could properly utilize to get real value out of him. However, the Lakers are not that team. A guard who cannot shoot has absolutely zero fucking place on the floor with Russell Westbrook, period. They already have enough spacing issues with Russell Westbrook. If you have that guy on the floor, you do not need another guard or wing who is just completely incapable of shooting threes. I don't care if that guard is perfect at every other aspect of the game, and I mean perfect. That player still will not work next to Russell Westbrook. Now, if you're actually that good that you're perfect at everything besides for three-point shooting, you should play him over Russell Westbrook. But my point remains, that type of player does not work in a lineup that has Russell Westbrook in it. Just fucking play Malik Monk, who is a good three-point shooter. What do you know? It works out way better when he's on the floor with Russ than Talon. And that's actually just another problem, period. Fucking play Malik Monk, please. Anyone who knew anything about anything instantly knew that Monk was easily the best choice to be the starting two guard, and yet we had to go through this circus of Kent Bazemore and Talen Horton-Tucker. THT needs to be traded. I said from the very fucking beginning when they signed him to that $10 million a year contract that that is a bad contract if they do not intend to trade him. And thus it appears that they intend to fucking start him. So it's been a bad contract, it's a bad experiment, he doesn't fit with what the team needs whatsoever, it's wasting his ability, it's wasting the Lakers' ability, it is a massive waste of everyone's time and effort and fucking everything. Stop it. Anthony Davis, fucking stop with the mid-range jump shots. You're not Dirk, you're just not. When AD is aggressive going to the rim, there are very few teams that can stop him, and yet he insists on these inefficient ass fadeaways. Anthony Davis this year is statistically the least efficient jump shooter of all time on anything close to his volume, including three-point shots and mid-range shots. He's shooting 18% from three right now. Holy fuck. Now, the poorly spaced lineups where he plays with a center in the paint isn't helping, but what also doesn't help is AD always bitching about playing the 5 when the Lakers are much better when he's playing the 5. Another thing I'm mad at Anthony Davis for, well, not really mad. I'm not really mad at the Lakers being bad, more so the very lazy arguments and discussion that's been based around it. AD, the anchor of 2 top 3 defenses back-to-back, who has this reputation of being an unbelievable defender, is currently anchoring the 16th best defense in the league, and that rating has gone up recently. They were in the 20s before. I realize that some of the defensive personnel outside of AD has gotten worse with the Russell Westbrook trade getting rid of a lot of their perimeter defenders, but if this guy is worthy of his reputation as one of the best defenders in the league, he is the type of guy who should be able to single-handedly make this a good defense. And no, that's not an unfair expectation for a big man who some people say is the best defender in basketball. That is what those types of guys not only can do, but they do. Rudy Gobert has been doing that for his entire fucking career. If you're as good defensively as they claim you to be, you can do better. I know it's not solely Anthony Davis's fault, and we're actually going to talk about Frank Vogel in a second, but he's the main one getting the blame there. I don't know how Anthony Davis has managed to escape so much slander this season, but especially when comparing it to the shit that Russell Westbrook has gotten, it feels especially egregious. And then last but not least, like I said, let's talk about Frank Vogel, the coach with a defensive reputation who isn't particularly adept at offense, but you have LeBron and AD for offense, so it works out. That was the logic with Frank Vogel when they hired him previous, and it worked out for a championship. They ended up being a really, really good defense. LeBron and AD was good enough to anchor a top 15 offense, despite the fact that there was no real complex offense whatsoever, and no one who could really create outside of LeBron, but that was good enough to go all the way. So fair enough, it worked once. How's it working out now? Well, the Lakers offense fucking sucks because Frank Vogel can bring nothing to the table there, and their defense isn't good. So if Frank Vogel is only a defensive coach and they're not good at defense, then what the fuck are we doing here? What does he bring to the table? The only thing I'm seeing him bring to the table right now are painfully bad rotations and lineups. Not just painfully bad, but obviously bad. So many lineups that Vogel has put out are like, why? Who would even think to try that? Like initially in the season, we were seeing lineups of Russell Westbrook, Rajon Rondo, Anthony Davis, and DeAndre Jordan. Are you on crack? Are you fucking kidding me? I wasn't trying to replicate Stephen A. Smith, but genuinely, are you on hard drugs? Because everyone knows that's a bad idea. Universally. They knew it. The players on the floor knew it was a bad idea. DeAndre Jordan did not play a single goddamn minute in the playoffs for the Nets last year. And yet this fuckwad from Impractical Jokers looked at that and said, yeah, it's fine, but you know, we should start him. Are you kidding me? He has done a piss poor job. AD has done a piss poor job. There are a lot of pieces on this team that do not work with that big three, and LeBron is injury prone in his old age. Now you'll notice that I haven't mentioned a certain name really all that much in terms of talking about their problems. And that's intentional. My biggest issue with the Lakers, and in terms of how people are talking about them right now, is with all of these litany of problems here. That's a big word, litany. Good on me for using that. The glasses are working. For the many issues that the Lakers have, it gets boiled down to LOL Westbrook, like all the fucking time. Like it's as simple as that. Or even that Westbrook is one of the major problems. He's really not, at least not anymore. The one fault that I would give Russell Westbrook is that the Lakers have been a 33 win level team with him and Anthony Davis playing, and the reason you traded for Westbrook was that you could be a good team without LeBron. So to that end, I don't know that he's necessarily succeeding all the way in what he's supposed to be achieving. However, I don't really think he's the problem either. Sure, initially this season he was playing bad, but at this point he's averaging 28 and 8 on, you know, not awful efficiency. And sure, there are problems. Those have kind of always existed with Russell Westbrook, but you knew that, and overall, with those problems, the guy is a positive. In fact, especially as of late, the guy is like the only fucking positive you have. In terms of who has been more detrimental to this team, especially by comparison to the expectations for them to bring to the table, it has been Anthony Davis and Frank Vogel far more than it has been Russell Westbrook. But because Russell Westbrook has some more aesthetically unpleasing elements, but because Russell Westbrook has some unaesthetically pleasing aspects to his game, throws a bad turnover here or there, and there's an incredible confirmation bias for him right now because everyone expected him to be the problem. So therefore, when he makes one mistake, it's, look, that's the entire problem with the Lakers. The confirmation bias is actually through the fucking roof. Calling Russell Westbrook the problem is lazy and wrong. He might not necessarily be helping things, but the Lakers are a fucking dumpster fire. He might not be putting it out, but he's not throwing gas on it either. Trade Taylor Horton-Tucker, AD, figure your shit out mentally in terms of how you approach the game and attack the basket and shit like that. Vogel, remember how to coach or get out. And LeBron, well, you've played well and I cannot blame you for being hurt, so just be healthy, please. And y'all, it's not Russell Westbrook. I realize that as of late, I've kind of flipped the script on Russ and just been way more positive than negative when it feels like the opposite approach should be the case. But really, I just feel like the perception of him has gone far too much in the other direction. Russell Westbrook is not the problem with the Lakers. He might be a problem, maybe I'm seeing that wrong, but he is certainly not the problem. The solution to the Lakers is not no more Westbrook. This team would be fucked with or without him. That's everything wrong with the Lakers. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, but that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.